going on, vinyl community? Welcome to the first proper upload of 2020 with the record spinner. You guys like the new intro? I figured I'd update things a little bit since I've been using my previous intro for the past 2 years. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a vinyl haul showcasing all of the records I acquired within the month of December in 2019. December was a rather good month for vinyl finds. However, it was not as intense as previous months, and that's just simply because Christmas was around the corner, and I knew I would get some absolutely great additions to the vinyl collection, so I didn't really want to buy stuff that other people would have, purchased for me in the holiday season. And if you saw my Christmas vinyl haul video, I did indeed get some fantastic additions. Everything from live progressive rock albums, box sets, some bootlegs, everything that you could think of. Absolutely great stuff. And also just the sheer fact that it was indeed Christmas time. A lot of gifts to buy for a lot of people, and I didn't really have a whole lot of extra pocket money to spend for myself, and if I bought more than I could have stomached, I just would have dug myself a deeper hole. But regardless, I got some fantastic records that I'm sure all of you guys are going to come to appreciate in this haul. But before we get into the haul, I want to showcase this particular record first. I felt that showing this album in the middle of the haul would just be a bit unfair because let's say maybe you don't watch this entire video and you miss it. It kind of deserves to be up at the forefront. And this particular record also ties in with my top 5 most wanted albums for my collection video. If you haven't checked it out, please go ahead, peel back and do so. I actually got my hands on the number 1 most wanted album for my collection. Now beware, and I'm going to say this now, I was fully aware of what I was purchasing, and I'll explain why. So the most wanted album for my collection was Kiss Sonic Boom. Now this is not the official 2010 edition. This is a recent unofficial pressing that has come out kind of fairly recently. A lot of these are hitting the eBay market. The first wave of unofficial pressings of Sonic Boom came exactly intact as the original. It came with a gatefold sleeve, poster, an inner sleeve and whatnot, colored vinyl as well. This new unofficial pressing is very bare bones, just a single sleeve, polyline sleeve and everything, and I paid $25 on RollingRecords.com, and I understand the value of Sonic Boom. The legit pressings, they go for around $300 to $400 on average, sometimes maybe lower, and I'm well aware of what I've spent for records in the past, but then again, some of those were, relatively affordable at the time of receiving them, and just forking up couple hunch was a little bit much of me, and so I just managed to just settle for this unofficial pressing for the time being, because who knows, maybe I'll come across the original pressing for a good price, maybe they'll reissue it, who knows, but until then, this is kind of acting as a placeholder. And what's interesting with this pressing is that it also replicates the hype sticker that appeared on the original pressing when it came sealed. It says limited edition colored vinyl, kissonline.com exclusive. However, the sticker apparently is much larger than the official copies were. And the copy that I have, if I can get it out of the sleeve, comes on red vinyl, and I guess you could say this is like the jean variant because they did multiple colored pressings. Now, Sonic Boom has had a reputation for being one of the worst sounding Kiss vinyl pressings in terms of the official versions, but to be honest, I gave this a spin, and I was quite pleased with how this sounded. This actually really sounded good. And also, while listening to it, I was just taken aback by the nostalgia behind this album for me, because like I've mentioned in my Most Wanted Albums video, this was the first Kiss album that I lived to see released brand new as a fan. Previously I'd seen the Kissologies and everything else, but for a studio album, this was a first. And I remember going to Walmart, because they were the sole distributor, picking it up before school, and then just about a week later seeing them live, and I had the flu, and I still went to the show, and so just there's a lot of memories locked with this album for me, and like I said, this is just simply a placeholder until I can get my hands on an official copy or maybe a potential reissue. But anyways, wanted to showcase that first, Kiss Sonic Boom. Now, without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the latest finds. Alright, so we are going to start this haul off on a rather cool note. I got a really sweet deal for this particular record. I follow a couple of vinyl related groups and pages on Facebook, and one of them is called Vinyl Record Deals, where basically this profile, or this page I should say, will keep track of certain records on certain sites such as Amazon, eBay, and whatnot, and essentially give live updates as to what price they are at, if they're the lowest price, if it was a major drop from what it was initially, things like that. And I saw a post saying that certain records from Amazon's warehouse were being sold for 20% off. So I took a look at the list and I kind of combed through and found some stuff, but you kind of have to be careful when it comes to them, because the way that they describe things in terms of the condition of the product itself can be a bit funny sounding. It'll say cosmetic damage to sleeve or disc, or item come, repackaged. You kind of have to take your guess as to what that means. Does it mean that they shrink wrap the record and the record itself is defective? It's things like that that you have to consider. But in my experience in the past, if I buy a product from the Amazon warehouse that is used but like new, 99% of the time it is still sealed, and that's exactly what the case was when I purchased the MoFi version of Billy Joel's Turnstiles. I ended up paying like $25 for it instead of the usual 35 plus, which is nice, and it was still sealed. It was just a seam split, but that's besides the point. So I saw this record as listed used but like new, 20% off. It was listed at like $16, $17, which is not bad considering what it goes for from just a regular retailer brand new, which is like $30. 20% off, got it for $13. And that is Phil Collins' Serious Hits Live. Now, this is a live album which came out of his But Seriously tour, which was rather humongous. And this release just simply has the hits live. So you get things like Against All Odds, One More Night, Don't Lose My Number, Another Day in Paradise, In the Air Tonight, You Can't Hurry Love, Susudio, all that stuff. So this is going to be a absolutely fun listen indeed. This is a recent reissue, which came out, I believe it was in 2018, and also it was still sealed, so played my cards right. Nice gatefold sleeve, there's all kinds of artwork, really good stuff. And I also have a really cool story to share that relates to the tour that this album stems from. So I was not born at the time, back in 1990 when this tour was going on, but my parents saw it with my mom's sister and her boyfriend at the time, and it was my aunt's birthday. And they decided to stay at the Four Seasons in Philadelphia when the tour had hit the Spectrum. And I believe Phil did a couple nights at the Spectrum. And they got a suite and everything, basically living large for her birthday. And little did they know that the suite across from theirs was Mr. Phil Collins. And there was a bodyguard apparently right outside the room, and they can actually hear Phil talking on the phone to his son back at home. And what happened was they went to, I think it was the first night, and they bought a tour program, and they like slipped it under his door with like a note saying, big fans, whatever, we're right across, respect your privacy, things like that. And then they went on with their ways the next day, and they came back to their room. They opened up the door, and there was their program signed by Phil Collins. And I should have dug that program out. We still have it before I filmed this clip, but believe me, it still does exist. And also, my dad actually shared an elevator with Chester Thompson. And if you are a Genesis aficionado, Chester is the live drummer with the band, and he was also Phil's drummer as well. That's a bit of a cool story to tell that kind of correlates with this release. And also, I should mention, records come on nice 180 gram, pressed over at Optimal, and mastered by Miles Showell using the Abbey Road half-speed process. So I'm sure this is going to be an absolutely delightful sounding release. Cannot wait to give it a spin. Phil Collins, Serious Hits Live. Alright, so here's an absolutely crazy buy that I did not suspect myself getting at some point. And honestly, all of this stems from just sitting on the sofa at my aunt's place on Thanksgiving, just checking my email and getting an email from You Discover Music saying that they were going to have a 30% off Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend kind of sale. And this was the first thing that they had listed on the email with the original price crossed out and the sale price. And I have never seen this collection go for lower than $250, and that's already a crazy price tag. It was not enough for me to snag it. I was quite aware of this when it first came out back in 2012. I just never got around to getting it. Originally, I was going to settle for the CD version, but then I kind of forgot about it. And then once I started to seriously collect vinyl, it was kind of one of those things that's always on the radar. And also, it's not really a format that I collect majorly. But then again, kind of lately, I've been seeing myself buying up sets of these kind of records. And the sale price was about $150, which I think is not bad value considering what you get in it and also what it regularly goes for. And let's just say this, along with the Pink Floyd Later Years box set, will be my little Christmas gift to myself. Check it out. It is the Casablanca Singles 1974-1982 box set from Kiss. Now, this brings together 29 vinyl 7-inch singles from the sort of classic makeup period, from the first album all the way up to Creatures. This is kind of what got the whole Kiss vinyl revival going, because they released this in 2012, and then in 2014 they followed that up with the Kissteria box set and individual reissues, and then the colored variants that have come later on in recent years. But this really kicked it all off, and this is just an absolutely gorgeous package. You have like a nice metal plaque on the front. The box itself is like a nice kind of leather. It's really nice. And the logo, it's kind of like a shadow box kind of look. There's like this orange kind of lenticular thing going on in the back there. There you go. Looks great. I'm not going to pull out everything and show it because I do plan on doing a special video for this box at some point on this channel. But there's a little flap here which opens up. And there you have 29 singles, along with a nice book which has photos and liner notes and credits for each of the songs in the box. Absolutely good stuff. And actually, just to kind of give you an insight, this is the backing sheet which appeared on the back of the box, so you can see all of the singles listed. And also they used different single sleeves from various countries, so that makes it really, really unique. Absolutely great stuff. This is going to be such a pleasure to spin, and also a sort of, I don't want to, can you say grail? I don't know if I could consider this a grail, but it surely is a wonderful, beautiful addition to my Kiss collection, the Casablanca Singles 74-82 box set. Alright, so these next couple of albums I picked up during my store's Friends and Family weekend sale, where basically friends and family of associates get to enjoy a bit of a higher percentage off of the usual employee discount. So I gave it to a couple of friends of mine in my family, and I figured this would be a good time for me to see if there was anything that I was missing that I could get for a rather sweet deal, and I came across some really good stuff. The first one is one that I actually remember getting in, because I usually do the vinyl shipment. And I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. I remember that. And I thought of it, and I saw a customer pick it up. And I actually made a Christmas rock kind of mix, which included some songs off of this particular album. And I was like, you know, that would actually be kind of cool to have, just to have it to play during the holiday season. It's one of the few Christmas-themed records that I have in my collection, but it's one that I can pull out and play during this time of year. And that is We Wish You a Metal Christmas and a Headbanging New Year. So this album is essentially a bunch of Christmas standards such as Run Rudolph Run, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, Silver Bells, Deck the Halls, but done in the genre of metal, which is fantastic. You have a whole cast of characters, as you can already tell by the front there. You got Alice Cooper, Ronnie James Dio, Dave Grohl, Tony Iommi, Lemmy, George Lynch. I mean, there's all kinds of people on this thing. This is a fantastic collection. The executive producer is Wendy Dio, which was Ronnie James Dio's wife, and it's just a great listen. And actually, I have fond memories of this release because my best friend and I, we always get together during the Christmas holiday break towards the end of the month, and we were at Guitar Center and we saw this on CD. This was a couple years ago, and we just thought it would be the funniest thing to hear these songs done in this style. And to be honest, it was quite good. We got some laughs out of it, and also we were rocking out at the same time. So I do have fond memories of this, and I'm glad to have a vinyl copy of it. Here's the gatefold. All the pictures of various people involved. And I also should mention that this is actually an FYE exclusive pressing. This is limited to 500. And both LPs come on red vinyl. Very nice. Kind of has like a swirly look to it. I don't know if that's just the way that it was pressed or the type of red translucent type of vinyl that's used, but it looks kind of has that swirl to it. If you look at it in the right angle. Looks very nice. Nice custom labels in the usual red and green colors that are associated with the holidays. So I'm sure to be spinning this one very soon. And next is a record that I actually forgot that we still had. I came close to getting it in the past, but for some reason I just was like, I'm not really in a rush, whatever. But then as I was combing through our vinyl selection for the millionth time trying to find stuff to get for a good deal, I saw this, and I took a look online, and it seems that this particular variant is, I don't know, it's kind of hard to come by. You're kind of paying a bit of a high price tag, not inflated in terms of the resale value, but just it was regularly priced high, and I managed to get this as well as the Christmas album for like $20, which is not a bad deal at all. And that is the Wayne's World soundtrack. Wayne's World, the first one and the second one, are two of my favorite movies of all time. I have fond memories of watching these movies as a kid. It brings back childhood. I just absolutely love Wayne and Garth as characters. It's just a great, fun movie. Great soundtrack too from the first one. The soundtrack to the second one too is great. On this one you get Bohemian Rhapsody from Queen, Hot and Bothered from Cinderella, Time Machine, Black Sabbath, which was done exclusively for the film, and then they put it on the Dehumanizer album. You get the Wayne's World theme from Wayne and Garth, Foxy Lady, Hendrix, Feed My Frankenstein, Alice Cooper, Tia Carrere, who was the big female protagonist in the film. Just absolutely great stuff. I think I remember having this on cassette when I was a kid and listening to it a lot, so I do have fond memories of this as well. Now, I believe this particular pressing came out as part of Rhino's Rocktober campaign. I think this was in 2017. I might be wrong. I've seen a couple of versions of this particular pressing available at certain times. I believe it's Rocktober. 2 LPs. The first one comes on really nice marble blue vinyl, which is quite nice. We have the Reprise label there as well. And then the second one comes on marbled pink vinyl, which absolutely looks stunning. Very nice quality stuff. This is going to be a fun listen as well. So I think I got very lucky with some nice limited pressings, nice colored pressings, and overall just great spins that I am looking forward to on the turntable. Wayne's World soundtrack. Alright, so here is a record that I picked up with my Amazon 5% cashback program. I had some funds built up from the previous month, and I've been eyeing this record for a while. This is not necessarily one that's rare or hard to come by, but it's weird. Like, it would kind of pop in and out of Amazon. You would have to get it, you know, internationally from the UK and pay for shipping. I haven't come across it at a record store, and many sellers on Discogs and eBay are not selling this for under $20. And I think it came out to where I just paid $10 out of pocket, which is rather nice for what this record is. And this fills a gap in my David Bowie live collection. And this is Live Santa Monica 72. This was a show recorded for radio broadcast on the first Ziggy Stardust tour back in, this was in October of 1972. An absolutely killer set. You get things like Hang On To Yourself, Ziggy Stardust, The Supermen from Man Who Sold the World. What else is on here? Queen Bitch, Moon Age Daydream. You even get a hint of what is to come with a performance of The Gene Genie, which would be found on Aladdin Sane the following year. This show has been heavily bootlegged for many, many, many years, and the Bowie Camp released it officially for the first time back in 2008, and this vinyl version came out as part of the 5 Years box set back in 2015, and then they released it individually the following year in 2016. So the cover has like a nice sort of matte and gloss finish to it. You see a picture of Bowie on the front there with the ticket stub, and then here is the back side, which has the track list. And even Bowie says a little thing about the show right here. It's a single sleeve cover, but what's really cool are these inner sleeves, which has some nice artwork on the front. There you go. And then here is the back side, where we have pictures of Bowie and Mick Ronson. And the records come in nice polyline sleeves. And that's a nice touch when they include both the printed inners and also polyline sleeves. It's a cool touch. And here are the labels. So we have the text on this side, and then we have nice picture labels on this side, which is a nice touch. Very nice quality. Pressed over at Optimal. Ray Staff does all the mastering. And so far, honestly, the Bowie stuff is fantastic. And this is going to be a fun listen. As of filming this clip, my turntable belt snapped on me as I was listening to the Doors' Isle of Wight record store day release. And I was getting really into it. Then all of a sudden, it started slowing down. And I was like, crap! And I saw the belt was off. And then I stopped the motor, got the belt, and then I realized it had disjointed itself. So I'm currently waiting on my replacements to come in from U-Turn Audio, and as soon as I get my belts in, I am putting this bad boy on the turntable. I am really excited to give it a listen. It's also been a while since I've last listened to the show. And there we go. Good stuff. David Bowie Live Santa Monica 72. Alright, so here is a rather special record that I had planned on doing an unboxing video for on this channel, but it ended up not happening because I had no clue when I was going to receive this record. And I also had a bunch of other video uploads planned for the month of December, and I didn't want to push anything into the new year. And with the way that the label was shipping this release out, it was in reverse alphabetical order. So with the way my name is, they sent my copy out towards like the end of their shipping cycle for it. So I did not receive it in time like the others that had received this release, but it doesn't matter. It's a couple days before Christmas, so this is surely an early Christmas gift to myself, as if the Pink Floyd Later Years box set wasn't enough. And this release is also awesome because this is the first ever Third Man Records Vault package that I received as a full-fledged member of the Vault. All of the other Vault packages and releases that I've gotten in the past, I have received from various eBay auctions, Discog sellers, members of the Third Man Collectors Facebook group, and I did not overpay the quarterly fee of $60 per quarter, except for some of them, depending on what the value was of what you got. But I always stuck to that $60 price range, which is what the Vault goes for, since you get like an exclusive, record package, 10% off the web store, live chats, and website features and things like that. But what a package to receive upon being a member for the first quarter. And this is just a knock out of the ballpark for Third Man. And this is the White Stripes Double X. Now, this release, which is also Vault Package 42, Coincides with the 20th anniversary of the White Stripes self-titled debut, which came out 20 years ago back in 1999. An absolutely amazing blues rock album, which would hint at the whole garage rock, revival that was going on in the late 90s, early 2000s. Just early Jack and Meg, just ripping it up in the studio. It's absolutely fantastic stuff, and they put together the fellas at Third Man this very beautiful package, which on the front we have the classic White Stripes Peppermint Swirl, which kind of has like a nice sort of foil kind of gloss look to it, but the actual kind of book style case that it comes in is very sturdy, soft touch kind of, sleeve design, which honestly I'm afraid to touch it because it is just so soothing to the touch. I feel like I need to be wearing white cotton gloves while handling this. And also, I love the spine. This is going to look beautiful on my storage cube. Very beautiful. And it opens up just like this. And here we have a nice design of Jack and Meg. And we have an alternate version of the album cover. There's different pictures that appeared on the actual album cover of the first White Stripes album. So we have some outtakes from the photo shoot. And inside this little pocket, we have a very nice book, which has all kinds of photographs taken from the recording sessions, all kinds of receipts from the studios that they recorded at, lyrics that are typed on a typewriter, photos of Jack and Meg. This is probably my favorite part of this package because 90% of these pictures have never been seen. And look, we have like various gig flyers and there's newspaper clippings. I'm just kind of skimming through this. I don't want to take up too much time in this clip, but you get Polaroids from the live shows. It's just, it puts you right into the times, seeing what it was like within this absolutely fantastic band. White Stripes are one of my favorite bands of all time, and of course, it's what got me into Jack. And on this side, we have all the credits to what is featured on the LPs, which I'll talk about. And then here we have a DVD of 2 live shows that the band did from this time frame, which is cool. There's a show from Paychecks, and then there's a show from the Magic Stick, which is in Detroit, which is quite cool, and that sits inside the book. And then inside where the alternate album cover is, we have the 2 LPs. And the first one I'll show is the outtakes. So this includes all of the various different takes of songs that appeared on the album, some acoustic demos, some tracks that were just left off of the album. Right off the bat, there's an early version of Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground, and also Let's Build a Home. Those 2 tracks will be found on the next 2 White Stripes albums. Those were actually previously released in a vault package in the past as a 7-inch, those 2 songs. And so they included them again for the sake of keeping the outtakes complete. And this comes pressed on white vinyl with a nice red, white, and black vault label there, which is cool. And yeah, we have alternate takes, different versions of songs that appear on the album. And then from a live standpoint on vinyl, we have a live show from the Ritz in North Carolina, and this comes pressed on red vinyl. Very, very nice stuff. I love it when Third Man does these vault packages because it really gives the diehard fan something that the mainstream market would not appreciate at all. I feel like, they would be taking a major loss if this was just to come out on a regular mainstream outlet. So it's cool that, the diehards can really get their hands on this stuff for justifiable prices. Then again, these things do tend to have their resale value depending on what the demand is like. But nonetheless, I am going to be having a blast watching the concert footage and also just listening to some of those early classic, White Stripes outtakes. Absolutely amazing stuff and a great way to celebrate the album's 20th anniversary. White Stripes XX. Alright guys, you are going to be in for a shocker. This is completely out of what I normally listen to in terms of genres and bands. This is something completely left field. But it's an artist that I have been wanting to give a chance to for some time. It's been brewing up. This particular artist has been making tons of headlines lately, and it's just simply because she is a brand new artist that is out on the market, and there's just something very interesting to how she presents herself in the media, her music videos, and also I feel that her music does have this slight melodic charm to it, which gravitated me to it, when I first heard her material. She's famous with a lot of people in the pop music circles, young teenagers and whatnot, and even people that are into the same stuff that I am into have said that, they've listened to her work and are quite pleased. And so I decided to take a gamble and check out this album, and it is the first full-length album from Miss Billie Eilish. And this album is called When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go?, which is a line from the song Bury a Friend. The big notable track on this is Bad Guy, the do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I mean, it's just such a catchy melody. And then you have Bury a Friend, like I mentioned, all the Good Girls Go to Hell. There's honestly some really cool, catchy, interesting songs on this album. And I gotta say, musically, it somewhat reminds me of Lord's first album. Just very synth-driven and bass-heavy, and just a very interesting vocal delivery. And like I had mentioned, she really presents herself in a much different way in her music videos and whatnot, compared to the other pop artists that are dominating the market. Now, what I'm about to say could be a little bit debatable. Some people might see the relevancy of it, some people may not. I think within the standards of modern 21st century pop, she is the pop equivalent of Alice Cooper, I think, for young teenagers and people of, the generation above me, I guess you could say. Just, total shock value. I mean, just from the cover alone, look at that. When this album first came out earlier this year, before I ever heard a note, I was just taken aback by the cover. It's just really twisted looking. But it looks quite cool. And here's the back side. And then we have a gatefold sleeve, which just simply has all the lyrics. And I actually got a very good deal for this, too. This is the FYE exclusive pressing, and it was on sale, and I got my discount on top of that. So I ended up paying like $13, which is not bad. And what makes this the exclusive pressing for FYE is that it comes on blue vinyl, which looks quite nice. I believe the standard pressing comes on yellow, and we've had that in the store many, many times. And I know that there's like a glow-in-the-dark variant at Target, which I came close to getting, but I figured I can get a better deal once this came back in the store. Because it seems like every week that we get vinyl shipment, this album always sells out. And so I think the last shipment that we got in as of filming, we got in like 3 copies, and I set one aside for me because I'm very curious and also excited to see what entails with Miss Billie Eilish and her full-length album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? Alright, so this is the last clip of this haul, and this is also the last bit of vinyl finds for the year in 2019 before we approach the new year 2020, as well as a new decade too. So, my parents gave me an Amazon gift card for Christmas, and surprisingly, I did not spend that as quick as you may think. I kind of added a bunch of albums to my cart that were on my wish list and I had an eye on, and I kind of just started a narrowing down process. I could have easily just picked out stuff to fulfill like holes in my collection, but I really wanted to seek out things that I truly wanted in this time. And the first record I'm going to show you guys was the one that was like, absolutely, I need to get this. Because as you saw in my Christmas vinyl haul, I got the Dukes of Stratosphere's Sonic Sunspot, which is their only full-length album, the XTC side project. And I needed one other release to fulfill my Dukes of Stratosphere collection, and that is their debut EP, 25 O'Clock. And it's the same ideology as their full-length album. Just think in a 1967-1968 time frame. This was recorded in like the early to mid 80s. Everything that you love about the psychedelic like Beatles sound, early Syd Barrett Floyd, Brian Wilson's experimental, side with the Beach Boys, it's all on this record. And this features a lot of my favorite Dukes of Stratosphere songs. Of course, the title track, 25 O'Clock, is great. Starts out with a nice driving bass riff in A, and the Farfisa organ kicks in. Just awesome. Bike Ride to the Moon is just full of hooks within the verses and the chorus. What in the World is cool. My Love Explodes. Just absolutely great stuff. Absolutely love the psychedelic album cover. And I love the gatefold too. It just kind of gives me just like a real 60s era vibe from just the artwork alone in the gatefold. You have a nice picture of the band all in black and white. This comes in a polylined printed inner sleeve. And here is the vinyl, pressed on 200-gram vinyl. I believe the XTC camp was taking notes from King Crimson when it came to these reissues, because they were using printed polyline sleeves and 200-gram vinyl and whatnot. So, just with 2 releases alone, my Dukes of Stratosphere collection is complete. Not so much XTC, and I'm actually kind of curious as to how much of the sound that's, featured on the Duke stuff is reminiscent as well, or can be found on XTC's original stuff. We shall find out, but I'm very excited to have this. And here is an early Deep Purple album that I've kind of had my eye on for a while, and that is The Book of Taliesin. This is the band's second album. The notable track on this is Kentucky Woman, which was written by Neil Diamond. They also do a version of the Beatles' We Can Work It Out. River Deep Mountain High, which is a Tina Turner song. There's also Listen, Learn, Read On, which is an original on here. And there's also the instrumental Ring That Neck, which would kind of hint at the sound that they would establish on future albums into their Mark II period. This is a UK reissue. It's indeed a UK version because the artwork is completely different on the back side. We have a picture of the band gathered around John Lord's piano. Very psychedelic cover. And we have a nice gatefold as well, which comes with pictures of the band members, which is quite cool. And then the vinyl itself comes on standard black vinyl, and we have a nice yellow Harvest label. Now, I believe the initial pressing of this actually came on white vinyl, and it came out as part of like Record Store Day in the UK, which I thought that was what I was getting, but I believe they must have just done a regular, standard, run-of-the-mill black vinyl press. And also, I apologize if I did not mention it already. This is in mono, so it's the mono mix. I have a colored purple vinyl version of the Shades of Deep Purple album, which was their first album, which is also in mono. So I suppose, I think both of those came out around the same time. And up next is something kind of from the same time frame. Came out much later on in time. This is a release that has seen many different releases on CD and vinyl. Different names, titles, and whatnot. This came out actually this year, and I think I pre-ordered it, and then I canceled it just because there was a bunch of other stuff going on at the time, and I just figured, why not? It's available, and also kind of shocked that my parents or my godmother didn't get me this because they're both big fans of this particular band. And this is, yes, the BBC recordings 1969 to 1970. This is a 2 LP collection which just simply brings together all of the band's BBC radio sessions from this time frame. Essentially the self-titled debut and Time and a Word period, which has the original lineup, which has Tony Kaye, Anderson, Chris Squire, Bill Bruford, and Peter Banks. Here's the back, which has all the tracks listed as well as their recording dates. And inside, we kind of have a little bit of like a poster / insert, which with various news clippings and pictures of the band members. And we have a large write-up from Peter Banks, the original guitarist, who kind of oversaw this particular release. Because I believe it was sanctioned by the band. It is properly licensed. It's, you see it part of the Yes discography on various, websites and whatnot, but it's not put out like by Rhino or any of the other labels that they're affiliated with. It's just kind of one of those odd kind of releases. Two LP set come on this very nice, attractive looking silver label, and the vinyl itself comes on blue vinyl, which looks absolutely gorgeous, I must say. Very nice stuff. And the other LP essentially looks the same, so there's really no sense of me pulling out the other one. And now we are going to wrap this entire haul up and wrap up this entire year of great vinyl finds with an album by an artist that I'm actually starting to grow my collection of. I got the Greatest Hits compilation, which is chock full of classics, and when I saw the track list on this, and also the color of the vinyl, I figured, absolutely. I believe this was just a couple dollars more than just the standard black version, so I was more than willing to pay a couple extra dollars just to get the colored variant. And that is Steve Miller Band's Fly Like an Eagle. So right off the bat on this album, you get the title track, Fly Like an Eagle, Wild Mountain Honey, Serenade, Dance, 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 Take the Money and Run, Rockin' Me Baby. Just great Steve Miller stuff. Absolutely sensational. Are you guys ready to see what this looks like? I gotta say, this is probably one of the most attractive pieces of colored vinyl in my collection. Check that out. Split black and yellow vinyl. Absolutely beautiful looking. And I don't know if you can really see on side 2, you can see a small crease in the label. There you go. You can see it there. It's not essentially a crack, but you can kind of see where the actual split of the vinyl takes place, and it kind of seeped right into the label. It's not so prominent on the first side, but on the second side you can definitely see it. So that's kind of interesting. But an absolutely gorgeous piece of unique colored vinyl in my collection, and also I think a rather strong way to wrap up this particular haul for the month and this year of fantastic vinyl finds. Steve Miller Band's Fly Like an Eagle. So there you guys go. That is my vinyl haul of all of the records that I acquired within the month of December in 2019. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the records spinning.